You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network. Now, the largest new media platform on the web and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Almost Royal After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Almost Royal After Show.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we won by the red earth's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night, what so proudly we have lithely streaming. That's like, yeah, I know.
I was wondering
like
how far we were gonna go with this.
Yeah, we just keep on going the whole day.
We should have discussed.
Yeah, I was like, should I just keep going? Okay.
Hey, well, you did pretty good for not being a native person of America.
A native.
Or a Native American.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but then I guess we all qualify. I don't want to discount any.
I'm Native American. Hey, very nice.
Are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Watch those lines.
Liar.
I know
You liar.
Poppy and Georgie would always cross them, but clearly. Hey guys, I'm your host Stephanie McGrath, and this is another Almost Royal After Show. And as per usual, I'm joined by, actually this time, we've got a special guest as well, stand-up comedian Sam. But I'm joined by my usual panel, starting off with...
Hey guys, I'm Almost Dave, and I'm here doing Almost Royal.
Cha-ching!
Nice.
It's that comedy. Well done.
So cheeky.
I'm Sam Davidson, guys. I'm so excited to be here today.
And JB Zimmerman, always good to be back.
Yeah, we tried that comedian spell, but didn't quite work. So, moving on, guys. Episode 6, and we see Poppy and Georgie, hence the introduction, off to Washington, D.C. And we start off them trying to figure out which one is the White House. Now, guys, I honestly, when I was in D.C., that's not such a stupid question.
Not at
Oh,
all.
They're all
really?
white.
I was kind of wondering that as I was watching. I was like, would foreigners know or not? Because to me, for growing up here, it's such a distinct landmark that you just recognize more so the shape of it. And also, when you actually get there, there's a giant gate in front of it, and there's also a lot of homeless people outside. And you're like, oh, that must be the White House because there's homeless people all over it, and like people with signs. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's really the distinction there.
I thought it was pretty hilarious because there are a lot of white houses in D.C. Everything seems to kind of be white.
But it's not the one and only.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I
very
can
true.
completely understand their predicament, though. I myself was confused when I first went as a child, but I no longer am. Not really.
Now, did Independence Day, that movie, though, did you then go, oh, no, I recognise the White House?
Just,
no?
yeah, that's
the one
clearly
that got
not
blown
the
up,
same
that
one.
everyone
Yeah,
knows?
after you see it
Being blown up.
destroyed, then you're
Yeah.
like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, to me,
Okay.
that's why it's like an iconic image, is because of those pop culture references, like Independence Day or any other movie or TV show, where they're constantly like showing the White House and the outside and the exterior. So that's why I think it'd be recognizable. But I guess there's it's the Capitol building, but one of the buildings does look pretty majestic. That's not the White House. There's one other one that
It's
I
the
think
Capitol.
Yeah, the Capitol. That's the other one that's similar enough. I can see people confusing it.
Although they
I looked at the Washington Monument. I was like, is that the White House?
well, see, they thought it was the Lincoln Memorial. You know, when they went out and they go, oh, yeah, that's the White House. And they thought Abraham Lincoln.
Was
Right.
creepy.
Creepy.
I loved it.
Sitting on
That
his
doesn't
jet.
look like Obama. What?
I remember in 8th grade when I went on a class trip to DC, climbing
that
up.
too.
Did you climb up Lincoln to sit on his lap?
I don't think. No,
Yeah,
I don't think we were
are you
allowed
to do that?
Are you allowed to do that?
Yeah. I mean,
Well, you're like, you just
Totally.
did it. I don't know if you're allowed to.
I
do
mean,
it.
sorry, I don't think you're allowed, but it was a long time ago. I somehow got away with it. But I remember
enough.
climbing up Lincoln, and it is a bit creepy. I loved them calling out all of the things that Americans really aren't supposed to say. So I thought that was nice.
Yeah, I did that field trip too, and I don't think you were allowed to climb up Lincoln, but
I did.
that's cool. I wasn't as cool as you.
Yeah.
I wasn't breaking rules left
Rebel.
and right like that.
And then we just hear the police, whoop, whoop, Samantha, you're now.
And then they go, "This is the police." Whoop, whoop.
Yeah,
When you did that,
exactly.
it immediately went to my head.
Now, guys, I thought, though, on the trolley, I loved, and it's not such a stupid comment when they were talking to those other people on the trolley, and they said, "Where are you from?" And they're like, "Alaska." She's like, "Oh, is this your first time in America?" She's like, "It's part of America." Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
Yeah. I can see that totally.
Yeah, I can see that one's a little bit more believable. I think, like Dave was saying, it was tough to not know what the White House looks like. I mean, you see it through the gates. I feel like just that part alone sets it apart from.
Yeah.
I mean, the Capitol building does look similar, but I feel like just knowing that it's so, needs to be such a secure place would set it apart. But for things like that, where it's it's a little bit more of a gray area, you might not know exactly like who's supposed to be there. There's a lot of monuments going around, so it's sort of tough to pick like, oh, that one shouldn't be there.
Yeah, and Georgie's face on the trolley. Do you remember? He was like, and his face kept on like bobbing up and down as the trolley was moving, and it was as though he has never been on anything like that in his life, and he was just so taken aback by it. And then with the Alaska thing, and I just love how they brush things off so easily, like, oh, okay, thank you,
Yeah.
and then moving on.
That's nice. Anyway, we just offended you. Thank you. Now, guys, they move on to, because of course, now this episode, I felt Georgie was getting a little bit more aggression came through, or maybe not aggression, but he's getting a little bit sick of darling sister Poppy. Always everything about her in a couple episodes, including in the car driving. But again, it was Poppy, and now she wants to run for High Sheriff of Norfolk in England, where they're from.
Yeah.
And so she needs the political coaching. So off they go, and they meet. What do you think about Chris?
I thought it was good. I mean, the calling her out on the jazz hands was very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just trying to help. He was very, very nice to them, I think. I mean, most people in all of the situations that they've been in, I know, would have been like, what is this? I'm leaving. You guys are crazy. But he stayed, and he tried to, I mean, it was a...
Right, I was actually sort of surprised at why he didn't call them out on that tongue twister thing that they were saying. Like everything that matters better
It's
matters.
good
Yeah.
to make it matter.
I want to... what
We
did
are
she-
making matters better matter.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. I feel like
matters.
a more constructive criticism would have been like, you want to stay away from all the confusing tongue twister type phrases and be a little bit more clear. It seemed like he was steering her away, but not aggressively enough, I guess.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by that too, that he just took a more of a backseat to that. Like, okay, well, change. And then when she kept on going with it, he's like, okay, well, that was a good version of it. And he didn't, steer away more from that. And Georgie was in the back the whole time kind of mouthing it like,
Yeah.
better. Yeah, like, that was pretty funny to me, Georgie's reactions to
And
it.
then the influxes, he was trying to tell her. He was like, make it like this higher note. And he would try to help her so much. But the best was when they started talking about the uncle that is not part of the family anymore.
Yep.
Yeah. And the things, I just love Poppy. I think she's amazing. I kind of want her to be my best friend.
Ha!
The uncles in the family, it gets lots of reference. I think we've
Yeah,
heard
he
about
does.
that uncle
We've
before.
heard about him
where,
before.
Yeah, he's always pinching, and because he was like, well, what do you do with people unemployment and stuff? Well, as long as they don't want a handout or anything, then that's fine. And then overall, I think Poppy was back to in true traditional Poppy character. No, didn't learn anything. In fact, she just wants to hear her talk about herself. She's very good at that.
She's a pro.
Yeah.
It was funny, like, watching, like, trying to gauge what his reactions were to the things that she was saying, which were so clearly offensive, like that.
Yep.
And it's funny, though, to me, because he wasn't really reacting much to it. I'm just like, Stonewall. I guess he's heard
Yeah.
it all.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
probably just so desensitized to everything being in politics for so long.
Well, I'm thinking to myself, what else has he seen that this is not shocking him?
Well, see, it almost seemed very normal to him. Do you not think in
Yeah.
the world of politics he would get people like that? I don't know, Sarah Palin. You get all sorts of people that they're like, I'm not going into politics. You know, this is it for me. Literally like Poppy.
Yeah.
All about me. And he's like, it's not about you. It's about, your audience. She's like, yeah, Hugo, my ex-boyfriend. That's what I said to him. You know, it's not
Right.
me. It's you.
Exactly.
And then we move on. Now, I was a little bit... I know we saw it at the start in the first episode in LA where Georgie was getting the car and we were seeing him driving. So again, we slip into another driving. This time, Poppy wants to learn to drive. She doesn't want to be the back passenger. But did you think for DC?
Yeah, I mean, this was another, just because we've done this before, was kind of the same note at that. I thought part of it was funny when she kept trying to stop, and he was like, the cameraman's like 25 feet away, and they like were inching forward. I would have loved to see like in a little bit different way. If they were doing a driving scene, maybe she was going like too fast. I assume that she might know how to
Too
drive.
furious.
Exactly.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of a strange choice. Again, this was one of those ones like, I mean, DC and driving, there's nothing there to me. There's no correlation whatsoever, so it just seemed incredibly random. And it was like, it was fine with the driver or the instructor, like, watching how patient he was trying to be. Like, that was amusing, but it was still just a really random choice. So, like, okay, I don't know why they're choosing to do this one, but okay, I'll go with it. So, yeah, I don't know why they chose that.
But what city would have been the right city to learn how to drive?
Well, LA?
Like, but
Yeah,
that just
LA would
seems
actually
like a
make sense because you're always in your
Yeah.
car.
Exactly. And
But
which they did.
Or
do.
Detroit.
They did.
Yeah, or I mean Detroit because that's the car city.
Yeah, that's true.
I suppose so.
But I mean, it's also just one of those random things where it's like, to me, it's almost an unneeded one. You don't really need to even have that period.
Yeah.
But like first episode, because they just got to America and they want to learn how to drive in the correct passenger seat.
Right,
Okay,
in the
fine,
right
that makes
side
sense.
of the
I can see
road,
that.
yeah.
Right. So okay, I can see that. But then it never needs to be revisited, I would think.
yeah.
I really felt poor Georgie actually took really a backseat, literally.
Nah.
Sorry. In this episode completely. Again, it was because it was Poppy wanted to learn about driving and stuff. And I mean, did anybody pick up on I myself am not familiar with it. A few of the other different meanings that we've spoken about, the different words, even though we're speaking English. Sponge.
Yeah, I've got the implication of what it probably was supposed to mean, but
Right, he used
never-
that. Yeah, he used that. Georgie used that same term when they were in the dancing, the ballet scene.
Oh, did he?
I think. Yeah. When
did he use that one?
I thought he used
Why would
that
he
to
use that? What did- in what?
make the Fanny analogy. To say that's what it was, but I've never heard that before.
Yeah, I've never heard that one either.
I mean, in the context, you can kind of guess what they're talking about, but I'm not a vernacular I would have chose.
yeah, I've never heard that one.
I'm not sure how frequently it used. I mean, the only thing it came to me, because I know there is an actual female contraception, it's called the sponge, so that's
really?
how it came from there. But yeah, there we go. New lingo, guys. For all your viewers, go around.
So when I go to London next time, I'm
Yeah.
going to use that.
The
And it'll be
sponge.
really awkward, and people are like, why do you keep on bringing that up? I'm like, I'm just interested, okay?
I just want to talk about
I just want to talk about
female
sponge.
anatomy. No. Now,
It's
guys,
gross.
I thought this again, we found, and I enjoyed it. I'm glad they decided to tread that line between touchy, maybe for some people that are very PC in America. When they go and meet Robert in the House of Representatives, and they hit upon, of course, the discussion of gay marriage legalized. He's from Alabama, and he shares his views, and they share theirs, with David Cameron, even though gay marriage as of this year is now legal. In England and in Wales. So what was your take on beloved Robert?
It's funny because I'm sure he's used to the camera stuff too, so he didn't think anything about it. And I guess that must have just been his real views, because he's just was totally okay with everything they were saying. And so I'm just like, well, there we go. That's that, Congressman. So yeah.
Here's what I think about him. What I thought was so funny was that he left them for what seemed like a very long time. And Georgie goes, I think he went home. as in like home. And then he comes back and he looks shocked to see them still sitting there, like he had forgotten about them. And I thought that was so funny. And they were just sitting there waiting for him. And it's almost as though like, where had he been?
Yeah, that was something
I'm
I was
off to vote.
See, that was something I was wondering if they were playing that particular one up for camera. That's kind of what I imagined was like maybe they were only there for 5 minutes and they're just like, let's just do that thing. But it was odd that he kept on, like, it almost felt like the conversations were so brief. He's like, oh, well, I gotta go. It's like, well, dude, you're doing a national television thing. You would think that especially someone like him would be honed in on like, oh, well, I'm on TV, so I gotta really make the best of this. Yeah. Especially someone like that.
What's your take, JB?
Similar to Dave. I feel like because in politics, you have to be so rehearsed whenever you're in front of the camera. Like, your image is everything about you. It's like your brand. So they have to be kind of hyper aware of everything. I feel like that is an easy one that they could have done more for camera, just because I feel like they'd have to explain themselves a bit more before being able to be in that position with them. Like, not a whole lot of politicians are gonna put themselves out there in a vulnerable place like that.
Yeah, it was surprising that he like said that, and especially when it was like on TV, like there's a lot of people who are gonna be really mad at you for saying that.
Little insensitive.
But I don't know what his. I guess you just have to wonder. Maybe that was what he ran on, were those positions, and that's how he got elected. So you never know.
I mean, there were
True.
thoughts that I was thinking. If I was a politician, wouldn't he? You think most politicians, they're a bit media hungry. They would love their time to advocate their issues. And you're actually right. Maybe that's his leading argument.
Like, that was his platform.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's like, like you were saying, it's surprising me that he wasn't more media hungry to utilize that more and push his agenda. But odd.
They handled it pretty well. And I would love everybody's take, though, because as myself, having gone to college in Australia and not going to America, because we next see them, they go off to a frat house, which I can see the relevance in terms we're talking about DC, the academic, possibly. Maybe I wouldn't have picked DC out of all places. It's not really renowned for...
Well, there's a good university there. I think it's called George Washington.
Yeah, there's George Washington.
Georgetown.
Right, which is actually a really big, prestigious university, especially for going to politics.
It's not like it's not like Brown University. It's not like
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a weird choice again of like, well, there's big universities everywhere, so it's not like, I mean, they're in LA. They could have gone USC or UCLA. They're in I don't know.
I mean, Yale, places like that.
Right, or they could have gone to Stanford, which is close to. LA. So it was another odd choice again for the fraternity thing, but I was like, I pledged a fraternity. I didn't end up joining. I was like, yeah, that feels like a fraternity.
Well, see, that's what I wanted to know. What they showed, is that your typical? I have no clue. In a frat house.
Yes, they are very dirty. We do not like to do dishes. I still don't. So
see, ours was really clean because the pledges had to clean every single day. So every day pledges were cleaning. So it was actually pretty clean until you got to people's individual rooms, and then it was like havoc and explosion. But our campus was a dry campus, and you weren't technically allowed to drink even if you're 21 in a fraternity. And inside, no one followed that rule, but that was something I was noticing that to me was odd as my own college experience was that they were all drinking outside and hanging out drinking beers. And I was like, we weren't allowed to do that at my college.
Well, I actually did go to USC, and I was in a sorority and had quite a...
Now, sorry guys, the lingo, and I'm sure everyone knows about this. Sorority and fraternity, like what's the...
it's just guys and girls, the
is
names.
that it?
Yeah, that's it.
But the sororities can't have parties like the fraternities can. We just go to the fraternity houses to do that.
That's
and
a bit sexist.
It is, but
Well,
you know
it
what? We
depends
like our
on
clean stuff.
I mean, it depends on the university, too. It's not like... I think that's not a specific sorority rule.
I guess, but I've never been to a sorority where they're allowed to have men in... The sorority fraternity world is actually pretty sexist. It's very stuck in the past. Actually, some houses... some universities aren't allowed to have sorority houses because there's a certain amount of women that live there, and they're considered a whorehouse. While
Really?
there's frat houses everywhere, and that does not matter. But
yeah, if you have, know that.
I guess all the.
if
I
there's
always
a-
saw frat parties, not sorority parties.
But yeah, just a funny thing. It's if you have like a certain number of females living in the same place, it's like considered a whorehouse. which is
Really?
Bravo.
The weirdest,
Right.
rule ever.
I didn't know
I definitely think it's something from the past. But
So like, of all female dormitory would be a whorehouse
exactly
then?
Apparently.
the biggest in the world.
But I liked that frat part of it because it seemed really real. These guys, I mean, they probably were all drunk and they couldn't even really tell that these people were acting so weird.
Right.
Well, then there's the whole story of like, oh yeah, you just show a little bit of skin. You play that
Exactly.
game.
Yeah, that's not a drinking game at all. It's
I
just
know,
something
they were
you
like,
do when you're drunk.
Okay, I'm not gonna do. Maybe I'll do that if you get me drunk enough. That's what all the frat guys. It seemed like they were thinking. It was
Right.
like, oh, I've never heard of that game, but maybe.
Yeah, just I guess.
They're not going to close
can
off
see that.
anything. I'll tell you, I'm glad they did include beer pong because for me,
Yeah.
that's a very
Yes,
American
yes.
thing.
Oh, is
Exactly.
that?
I was introduced when I first came. I was
Really?
like, what the hell is this stupid game? Yeah.
That's so funny. Actually, I was reading up about other countries having America-themed parties, and like
And
they
they
do
play
this
beer pong?
internationally. Yeah, they play beer pong. They play
That's
a lot
so
of other
funny.
games like Flip Cup and stuff. The main,
What?
Flip Cup. You take a red plastic cup and you try to like flip it upside down.
Well, you have to have a little bit of beer in it, and
Yeah, it's kind of like a relay race, if you will.
This
You
is an
drink-
educational.
Okay, so
the
you
more you
put
know.
you
The more
put
you know.
a shot or you put beer in, like just a little bit, and you have to take it and then flip it over. And once you flip it over onto his side, the next person gets to go. And there's two teams, so you're trying to race to see who can finish all their cups and flip it over first.
Great game.
way better than beer pong.
I prefer
think.
beer pong.
I think in Australia and I think partly in England, we do a lot of singing
Yeah.
games.
Singing games.
We like to cheers and just a lot of singing.
Oh, we don't.
How do you
Drinking,
do in
we
those
just
games?
drink. I'm clearly very, very tone deaf, and so though the more I drink, the better I think I sound, just like Poppy.
Good.
Exactly.
Alright.
I feel like every drinking game is that way.
Yeah, when I first moved out of here to LA, I was living by UCLA, and I was living like on the campus grounds, and the place I moved into was disgusting, and I was trying to figure out why, and the people moved in, they go, the one rule, bro, when you move in. So the people who lived there before us were always keep the game going. And I looked on the ground, and they had taped on the ground a beer pong like table thing on the ground. So they'd literally been playing beer pong on the floor. So now that's what I
Wow.
think of when I think of
That's
beer
a
pong. I'm
new
like,
low.
oh yeah, that's the beer pong floor at UCLA.
Classy.
Exactly. I love that scene. I was in a frat myself, so it was kind of nice to see that something a little bit different. Going to the college, I feel like they didn't go far enough.
I
would've
thought
loved-
they would go further.
Right.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see them like play for a while or something. And then maybe one of them could have like gotten drunk or pretended they did, and just the shenanigans.
Or
there.
Georgie actually tries to play the game, not just mentioning
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, or he could just like all of a sudden, next thing you know, there's like a blur and he's like running around naked.
Yeah.
That would have been really great.
I like that idea, but anyway, note for Chris, one of the producers.
Exactly.
We'll let you on that one. Now, the grits. I love this. As a female, they were so. I don't know, something about older women with guns, and they really owned it, and it was. I
know.
just really liked them.
How
I don't
often
know.
do you do this? Every day. Every day, they said.
Yeah.
I had no idea something like that existed, honestly.
I thought it was kind of funny. It almost, because it's just to me seemed like such an American thing. It's just like, yeah, getting together, shooting our guns off every single day. It seemed very American. Not that it's not fun shooting guns, but it's just like, it seemed so American. Then again, I mean, like hunting is a British thing too. So, yeah.
I was surprised at how well Poppy did. I don't know if she got to shoot before that or if there was some practicing involved, but she totally nailed that clay pigeon.
Yeah.
I honestly think of it as being a really British thing to go shooting like that. To me, it's almost more British, like to go that type of shooting. Hunting, I guess seems American to me, but like shooting clay pigeons, all that, I really think of England or the UK at least.
Yeah.
Funny enough.
I'll agree with you on that, but I think this is so many shows and reality shows we always see if there's a gun scene, it's always with males. That's why I really like this group of older, strong gunfighting women.
Right, I feel
They
like
seem fun.
that's a new reality show spin-off. Just
Yeah.
that group.
I don't know. They seem too
They
fun.
would.
They
That
weren't.
actually is an idea.
Yeah.
You know, someone's going to do that.
Yeah.
Just you pitch it.
There we
Exactly.
You
go.
pitch it.
The next show on it. Now we then wrap up and finally off to the opera, and we take, of course, Daddy with us. Slight spillage.
I think that was the best part. Actually, was the spill in the whole episode.
I think that was my favorite part. I just broke out in laughter, and I was like watching it alone. So that was.
I've been waiting for that to happen the entire time.
Yeah.
But that was like the one thing where like people seem to like for real legitimately be reacting
Right.
and like because a lot of these situations we really don't know if they're in on it or not, and this one really seemed like they're like the one guy's like, who's spilling? The guy's like, Georgie. Like he was confused, like he didn't know what else to say. He's like, where
Just
did he
like
go?
that's all I know.
Yeah.
Because his dad's name's Georgie as well, so
Right.
it's like George. It's his father.
Yeah. So I liked watching everyone's reactions to that. Everyone's trying to stay away from the table, like, oh no.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a unique situation, so gross, and it just we got so many genuine reactions out of that. I feel like that was one of the few scenes that they crafted and just set it up. So it's just like, well, let's see what happens. And I thought Georgie executed it perfectly. It totally looked like a legitimate spill, and then it
Yeah.
was so funny that they kind of just like Cuddy bounced out and just like let people deal with the ashes that was still like, blatantly all over the place.
And all over Poppy.
Exactly.
She's like, on my dress. Daddy's on my dress. Georgie, why do you always do that? He's like, I know. Daddy will be so mad. I always do that.
Just always disappointed in me.
Well, they left a little bit of Daddy then in DC, and he
Yeah.
would have loved that, being a lover of America. Now, guys, let's get to prediction time for the final episode.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV
Sammy, you right there, darling?
predictions.
Am I what?
You right?
Oh,
Coughing.
no, I'm fine. I know.
It's part
I
of
have
the
a bit
routine.
of cold, guys.
Stand up. It's part of the act.
Yeah, talk a lot. Talk a lot. All right.
Let's hit it. Dave, what do you think? Nashville, how are we going to wrap this season?
All right, so they got to go to the Grand Ole Opry. That is absolutely going to happen. If it doesn't, then I'm going to riot, and by that I mean stand up and just sit back down and finish watching the episode. But I think Grand Ole Opry, Nashville is the home of country music, or at least they call themselves the home of country music, so they're definitely going to do a lot with country music. And I don't know, I used to do breakdance competitions in Nashville. It's called Bashville, and if they go to that, that'd be awesome. Although I don't think they will. But it was like a once-a-year giant b-boy competition.
Why is it in Nashville?
I don't know. I
Again,
guess someone
but
started.
that's like some of the things that they do in Almost Royal that just doesn't...
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
I mean, definitely though, the country theme, Grand Ole Opry, those are the things that gotta happen.
Yeah. I think we will definitely see Poppy singing. We saw that in a preview. It's like Texas again. She's just trying again. A lot of music. I'm hoping to see Georgie do some dancing.
What if they bring them out on stage at the Grand Ole Opry? That'd be awesome.
That'd be pretty
would be
epic. That would be amazing. I would also like to see that happen as well.
Definitely. I feel like in the South, it's sort of what we were talking about globally, what we
Yeah.
wanted out of the series, or if we could pick anywhere for them to go. It is a little bit more quintessential America, I feel
Yeah.
like, kind of being more in the heart of the country. So I feel like if they touch on that more, like really proud Americans,
Yeah.
that could be like a good setup for some type of clash. I really want something where there's like a lot of conflict in a good way. They're great about bringing everything sort of back on their own stupidity and,
Right.
And that. So I really hope that there's sort of that mixed in with a little, I mean, in the South they can be very polite in the Southern hospitality. I hope that they overstep that a little bit. And get,
Yeah, that'd be fun to see.
Of course they will.
And what about you?
I agree. I think Dave, again, will be going off to see a few of the iconic places in Nashville. Singing's got to be in it. I hope that Georgie gets more of a... Georgie leaves on a higher note of bang. More about him in this episode. Sorry, Poppy. I love you, darling. But, you know, too much, Poppy. A little bit too much. Now, guys, don't forget to download us on iTunes and rate us. We want that last 5-star rating so we can finish this hilarious show on a high for next final episode next week. Now, where can we find you, Dave?
So you can find me on Twitter at @TheDaveKlein. That is KLEIN.
And thank you guys so much for having me. You can find me at SamD43 and Sam Davidson Comedy on Facebook.
You guys can find me at JB_Zimmerman on Twitter and Instagram.
And guys, you can find me on Twitter at host McGrath, McGrath, and also on YouTube at Stephanie McGrath host. So we look forward to guys seeing you all next Sunday for the final episode of Almost Royal, and we hope you've enjoyed this fabulous season as much as we have. Have a good night, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.